Hello, my beautiful people. These are all my thoughts and opinions based on public information in the public domain. Please do your own research, and smart comments are welcomed. I don't like sophistry. This is for entertainment purposes only. I will not, I said before that I wasn't going to talk about this, but I got so many emails, so many things about this. I do not like to talk about what other YouTubers say, because my purpose here is not to disprove others or do anything. It's to give you information as I see fit. And not only that, I encourage you to Google, contact people. I have left details for you to call Parliament to verify this information. Not for me, because I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not an expert. But I do call the institutions. I do talk to the people, involved as much as I can, and I give you that information. Let me clarify a few things. And I have put this phone number in a previous video. I'm not going to give you more because I actually am quite busy. I have to work. About you calling Parliament, the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and there's an executive committee that tells you that they deal with online petitions. They will categorically tell you that Change.org petitions are meaningless, that they will only review parliamentary petitions from the Parliament UK website. The reason for that is because any idiot can make up 1,000 emails and just sign Change.org petition just to increase the numbers on that petition. The Parliament will only consider parliamentary petitions because you need to be a resident in the United Kingdom and a citizen residing in the United Kingdom. You can, even if you're a British citizen, but if you're not residing in the United Kingdom, you can't fill out the parliamentary petitions unless you're living in the United Kingdom, because of course they're dealing with petitions that affect legislature. So whoever is putting out a Change.org petition is doing it only for publicity, and I don't know what. I really don't know what. Either they're ill-informed, or I don't know what's going on, because all you have to do is contact the phone number I left in one of my videos previous that I talked specifically about this, for you to know. Whatever Change.org does not work. Only parliamentary petitions will be listened to and debated to in Parliament. Okay? The other ones are dismissed. Now, a lot of you are telling me that the Queen can't do anything to remove Harry's peerage. Okay. I will do this one last time. I hate going into, I don't want to make it boring, but let me put it this way. You know that the reason why King George V issued a letters patent in 1917, he issued that because had he not done that, Charles would have been Earl and Anne would have been Lady, because they were not entitled under Queen Victoria's letters patent to have Prince and Princess titles. So King George did two things. He issued a new letters patent limiting the number of royals, because Queen Victoria was making, it was completely out of hand how many royals there were, all in the male line. But because Princess Elizabeth was not in the male line, that did not benefit her when she got pregnant, when the now queen was princess back then. So those rules applied in the letters patent from Queen Victoria did not benefit the Princess Elizabeth. So King George issued a letters patent to reduce the number of royals, limiting it to grandchildren only, and to make sure that Princess Elizabeth children would be prince and princess, right? And then he put that the Princess of Wales children, and the children's monarch and stuff like that. So whoever hopefully the Queen Elizabeth would have male heirs, which she did. Now, when Charlotte was born and Louis was also born, the 1917 letters patent existed. That's not a doubt. It hasn't been overlooked. It hasn't been anything. The letters patent is there, limiting the fact that Charlotte and Louis are not entitled to be called prince and princess. They're not, according to the letters patent. The Queen knows that, yet she issued a specific letters patent for for Charlotte and Louis, that they are known HRH, as well as prince and princess and prince. Do you think that Parliament didn't know that there was a letters patent in 1917 that did not allow for the Queen to do that with Charlotte and Louis? Of course they did. Of course they do. Do you think that anybody in Parliament told the Queen, you can't do that? Because what happens is when a letters patent is issued, when the Queen issues a letters patent, it is a mere formality that she sends it to Parliament. They sign it and they send it back to her so she can give it the final royal assent. Okay? Now, the peerage, there's two types of peers currently now, which are lifetime peers, which are actually members, politicians who through merit are recommended by Parliament to the Queen to make them life peers. They cannot disclaim that. This is what it's called. It's not called putting the titles on abeyance. It's called disclaim, which means that they do not want to, if a noble inherits, for example, an inherited noble, for example, if it's a duke or an earl, and his father died, but he doesn't want to have the responsibility of the titles and everything, he can disclaim that title, but he has to do it within the first year of receiving that title. And what will happen is that the titles, the responsibilities, because everybody thinks only of privileges, but there's a lot of responsibilities that come along with these titles, can pass to the next in line. Now, the peers, the royal peers, let me rephrase this. The Peerage Act of 1963 applies to nobility, not to royalty, okay? This is why you won't see a royal duke sitting in the House of Lords or run for office or anything, because they're not allowed to. It's a royal peerage. And the Queen, royal peerages have been canceled. The Queen has the power to bestow them, make them extinct, give them under certain conditions, modify them, suspend it, revoke them, terminate them, and that they're never heard of again. The Queen is entitled to do that with royal peerages. Now, let me give you a little bit more information. The reason why the Queen does not strip Harry completely from she hasn't stripped Harry's HRH, for the simple reason that if she strips Harry of the HRH without stripping him of the dukedom titles, then he will be made a noble. He won't be a royal, he'll be a noble, part of the nobility, like Earl Spencer, for example, or the Duke of Westminster. They're not royal, they are noble. So, and the reason for that is so he doesn't get a seat in the House of Lords, so he doesn't run for public office, so he doesn't do many things. That's why, one of the reasons why the Queen is not doing it. Because if she removes his HRH officially and says, you're not, without removing the Duke, and she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. Do you think that she needs permission to remove Harry and Meghan from the royal website, which is a British monarchy website for working members of the royal family? And please don't be misled by the fact that it says family. It is family because they are a family, but they are a constitutional monarchy. And Parliament is not doing anything. They just answer back to people, oh, well, the British royal family are the ones who manage the website. Yes, but it is an official website. You know, embassies, British embassies around the world, they manage the embassy's website. But it is understood that whatever they put out there is true and it's always official. So it's the same thing with the British royal family. You have right now, oddly enough, Prince Andrew, it is correctly stated that he stepped back pending solution of whatever the outcome of his civil cases, if he gets charged criminally, whatever. So he has correctly, he's been correctly portrayed that he has stepped back. Harry and Meghan Markle have not stepped back. They have stepped down. They do not live in the United Kingdom. They're not, their family home is not the United Kingdom. They're not sharing their time between North America and the United States. Now, a lot of people have said, well, the Peerage Act states that they have to commit a fraud or a crime in order for the peerages to be removed. That would be true if Harry had a noble title or a noble peerage. He doesn't. He has a royal peerage, and royal peerages are at the mercy and pleasure of the monarch. Okay? Yes, it would be a formality. The Queen will issue, all the Queen has to do is issue a letters patent stating that she is revoking the titles, the Duke titles to Harry. All she would have to say is that he will no longer be a prince either. She can do that. All they have to do, and she can issue specific letters patent like she issued one for Charlotte and Louis. Okay. Now, many of you have said, well, if the Queen did that for the Duke of Cambridge's children, then she was discriminating Meghan's children. No, she wasn't. The royal family knew back then that Meghan Markle's con. They knew that she wanted titles just to take off to America. That's it. They knew that. So they were not about to give her even more titles for her to keep exploiting. Okay. So the Queen has the absolute power to remove Harry. Let me give you an example. You know, with the 1917 letters patent from King George, when he issued that letters patent, His Royal Highness Prince Alistair ceased to be royal, to even be a prince. It was a shock to him. You know, it was a shock. He ceased the day that it got royal assent. A bunch of them ceased to be princes, to be royal, to be a bunch of things, you know. So the Queen has the absolute power because royal peerages are not the same as noblemen's peerages. The Peerage Act only affects noblemen. Let me tell you something else too. Right now, there's quite a few noblemen, because unfortunately, when noblemen, whether it's an earl, a duke, or whatever, they get married and then they get divorced, their ex-wives end up, some of their ex-wives, you know, end up using their titles for financial gain. And they start these businesses using the titles, and they feel that it's cheap, it cheapens them. So for a long time, they had been fighting to prevent that. So right now, they're pushing for legislature to amend the Peerage Act of 1963 to prevent ex-spouses from using the titles. Right now, that means that any lord, any ladies, any duchesses, any you know, countesses will not be able to use the titles for any business ventures at all. And actually, some of them are claiming that if any of these former spouses have engaged in that, in spite of the family's request not to do so, they're also fighting to have royalties, the money that they made from using the titles, given back to the person who's actually the title holder. Okay, so keep in mind that there's a lot of things that are ongoing here, but the Queen has absolute power. Under the law, according to a letters patent of 1917, the beautiful Charlotte and the beautiful Louis would not be entitled under already an existing letters patent that everybody knows of to be prince and princess. Okay, now let me give you another little bit. Whenever a queen, whenever a monarch bestows a title on somebody, is in exchange for service and to reward loyalty. Which means that when Harry got the Duke title, he was asked to confirm it was under the condition that he would be working for Her Majesty the Queen, for the monarchy, and be loyal, which he broke all of that. Now, if the Queen doesn't need an excuse to do that, she doesn't need an excuse to remove somebody's title. But if she did, in order to be politically correct, Harry has handed her the best reasons to do so, because he has very publicly stated that he doesn't want to be a prince, that he doesn't want the royal titles, that he was trapped in an institution. Being trapped means that you were doing something against your will. He has very publicly stated that he has no will, no desire ever to come back to live in the UK, that he doesn't want to be there, that his mental health is deeply affected by being a prince, being a royal, or having any titles. So the Queen can issue a letters patent stating that granting Harry's wishes to be a private citizen, she withdraws or suspend all of his royal titles, that he will no longer be a prince of the United Kingdom, nor the Duke of Sussex, nor the Earl Dumbarton, I think it's called, in order for him to live his life as the private citizen that he so wishes to do. That's it. And that from this point on, he would enjoy the rights afforded to all private citizens. That is all Her Majesty the Queen has to do. She would send that to Parliament. Parliament signs it and sends it back to her for royal assent. And we will be done with. She can absolutely do it. Sending it to Parliament is merely a formality. Again, whenever the Queen has wanted to change things, it gets done. It gets done. Under the law and under the current letters patent, Charlotte and Louis were not entitled to be king and queen, prince and princess. And Parliament would have been within their rights to say, I'm sorry, Your Majesty, we will not grant that. Because there's already a letters patent stating that you can't do this and you can't do that. But did they do that? Of course not. They just signed it and approved it. So the Queen can actually do that because, again, royal peerages and royal titles, and this has been written by Parliament, and not only to me in 3 letters, but to many others who have also written to Parliament, and they have responded the same thing, that all royal titles and peerages are at the mercy of them, are at the pleasure of the monarch. In fact, I think it was the Gloucester, if I'm not mistaken, the Gloucester title that was canceled. It's 5 times. It's been canceled, taken back, suspended. The Queen, the monarch, has the absolute autonomy over all royal titles and royal peerages. And royal peerages are not bound by the Peerage Act of 1963. Only noblemen are. Okay? I have contacted, because it took me a little bit, because I actually called this morning, because people started nagging me about this over the weekend. So I actually waited and called Parliament and spent over an hour and 37 minutes and 22 seconds speaking to the House and Parliament, who categorically told me the same thing. I read the letters out to them. I told them who I was, and they said, ma'am, they are exasperated with me asking about the same thing and them giving me the same answer. Yes, there is a Royal Peerage Act of 1963, which is valid, and it applies to all noblemen and peerages, and life peerages. And FYI, politicians who are granted life peerages, they cannot disclaim it because it's an honorary thing and it's consulted by members of Parliament. And when they die, the peerage ceases to exist. The Queen can perfectly say that, if she doesn't want to make Harry, but she can perfectly do this for Harry's mental health. The Queen is being cruel by not listening to Harry, saying that him being a prince, that him having any royal titles, that him being part of the monarchy is ruining his life, has ruined his 36 years of life, that his mental health is terrible, that he fled, that he was trapped, almost tortured, if you want to call it, because the way he talks about it is like, oof, Oprah, I'm so glad I was sitting here. You know what I mean? Fucking wanker. I'm sorry. But you know what I mean. So now we have a Z-list actress. And to my gorgeous American people, there's a Titles of Nobility Amendment that was put forward in Congress in 1910, which is only waiting ratification. Right since the UK, the Queen and Parliament do not want to do anything about what's ongoing. And I have another video coming because it's going to shock you. Please write to your representatives to ratify, demanding that they ratify the Titles of Nobility Amendment of 1810. That way, Meghan Markle will have to make a choice whether she wants to be an American citizen or she wants to be called Duchess of Sussex. If she wants to be called Duchess of Sussex, it's a long process because she would ask to be, because a person cannot be left without a citizenship. She would need to move out of the United States and become a resident, go through the process of becoming a resident of the United Kingdom and later on a citizen, so she can give up her American citizenship in order for her to use the Duchess title. She would need to become a UK citizen first, then renounce her United States nationality in order for her to be known as the Duchess of Sussex. If not, she will need to be just known by her name, Rachel Meghan Markle, a nobody skank hustler. That's it. And I'm sorry I'm angry, but it's just that you guys make me work. You know, I spent my whole morning and now I have to go to work. And please, please leave your comments. The Queen has absolute power. And sending a letters patent to deal specifically with Harry is just as easy as the letters patent she sent to deal with Charlotte in order to grant Charlotte and Louis a title. Am I making myself understood? And as I told you, I already spent more than an hour and a half with Parliament this morning, which is actually quite expensive. So anyways, thank you. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Call Parliament. They will tell you to. And don't ask me for the number. Google it. Okay? Have a good day.